All right, so well, we're going to start from where we stopped the other day. And for us to be able to achieve that, okay, so let me go back to where we stopped. From our previous class, we're able to modify requests in which we're able to, we're able to bought an item with 1 cent instead of 13,000, okay, 537, right? 13,300, 133,700. We bought the item with 1 cent, right? Okay, so that was where we stopped. And I believe everyone is following through. All right, so the next one is setting the target scope. Do we have anyone that has been able to solve the set the target scope task? I asked us to prepare ahead. Do we have anyone that was able to do that? You've done that?
I think I sent a screenshot as well.
When are you ready?
No. Right, that's great. So can you share your screen? Let's see the way you run through your task. That's okay. Right. Yeah, let's see. You're able to.
All right.
I also did mine. I was able to do my also.
Who is that?
Felix.
Felix, that's great. That's great. Felix. All right. So, okay, what we do is, Ibukun, you are going to share a paper. Okay, Omalayo. All right. I know you're able to do yours as well. So, those 3 people, we are just going to find a way of sharing, this section with the 2 of you. Share with us how you were able to navigate that. Then we move ahead from there. So that we can use your own concept, your own platform to explain to others so that they can do theirs too. All right. Thanks. All right. So you can share your screen, Ibukun. Can you do that now?
Yes, I'm trying to. Just. Please, can we see the screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen properly. We can.
Okay, so basically this is the step for setting the target scope. Okay. So in this tutorial, you will learn how to set the target scope for your work in Bob suite and all the likes of it. So the first thing is to get into the website, that is port. Okay, sorry, the step.
All right. Are you still there, Ibukun? Hello, Ibukun, are you there?
I'm trying to change the screen of the Zoom to okay. Okay, so basically, I guess this should be on while I will just pick the instructions without showing it. So for the step 1, you launch the Bob's browser. That's what we've done. Okay.
So Felix, you should start preparing your screen and your bob suit before we call on you, so that by the time we call on you, just continue from where it stops. All right. So I just want us to run through that in the next 7 minutes now.
Okay. Oh, my system is a little bit slow.
Felix, can you take over? Thank you so much, Ibukun, for where you are.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I just got in now, so I'm trying to set up.
Okay, what of Omolayo? Are you available to do that?
I'm trying to set up, sir.
Okay, all right. So since all of us are not ready, all right, thank you so much. It really shows our commitment to the class and the interest as well. All right, that's good. That's exceptional. All right, thank you so much. Well noted. Felix, Ibukun, and Omolayo. That's great. Thank you so much. All right, so don't worry. Let me just share my screen here so that we can just run through it together for others as well. All right, so let me share my screen. So we are on Portugal. From Portugal, we are trying to access all right. Okay, we are on Portugal now. So, all right. So this is the task we have to do. We are asked to set the target scope, isn't it? Set the target scope. All right. So, like what I've been, teaching us and I've been instructing us on for some days now is that we are just we are meant to walk through the documentation. Documentation is key. Is key. I know, even having worked as a software developer for 3 years, part of one of the ways, of becoming a good developer is that you read through documentation before you go and implement. You try and understand what you want to do. Are you getting it? So reading through the documentation makes you to have a good understanding of what you want to do. All right. So from the documentation, you can read through this. You understand that you are learning how to set target scope for your work in Bob Suite. The target scope tell Bob exactly which URL and host you want to test. All right. This enables you to filter out the noise generated by your browser and other sites, so you can focus on traffic that you are interested in. All right. So normally you've logged into postfigure.net earlier, and then you've done modifying HTTP requests. You understand? Doing so before continuing. Okay, if you haven't completed, you've done that. It's a criteria. So the next thing is for you to launch this same URL, info leak. Okay, when the page loads, we've done all of this. Okay, when the page will click, I said if promoted, log into postfigure.account. Right? After a few seconds, you see your own instance of fake website, which we've seen earlier. Browse the target sites. In browser, explore the site by clicking on a couple of products, isn't it? All right, so we have our Bob suite launched. Can we see the Bob suite? So we have our Bob suite
right now, sir. We can only see your documentation.
All right, but you can see the Bob suite now.
Yeah, you can.
All right. So you have your Bob suite launched. Mind you, we've already turned in our browser as well earlier. Let me add that. Let me show you that. Oh, the browser. We are aware of how we're able to get all these things I'm showing, isn't it? We are aware of how we're able to get the browsers, how you turn on your browser from your Bob suite. Are we getting it? Then click on your Access Lab.
Yes, sir.
Which is what we have like this exactly, right? Isn't it? That's right. So our former purchase, want to go back to what? Home. So once we are on the home platform, what is this all about? So it has timed me out. Let me try and access the lab again. So let's try and access the lab again. Oops, what is happening? All right, so this our platform which you've logged in. You are all aware of how we're able to reach here. Then earlier we purchased something. Okay, let me go back to my Bob suits. My Bob suits. Back to my Bob suits, and then from there it should be this. Then this. All right, so this way we are. We are currently on the Bob suit. We'll be able to launch the particular page. But before then, let's move on to our Bob suits itself. All right, so let's move on to our browser. This is our browser that we had earlier. Okay, so it is expected of us. All right, so for us to be able to do that, let me go to Bob suit again. Turn on my intercept from target. Definitely my intercept is on from the proxy. My intercept is on. That's why I was able to have all this. All right, let me see if there's any changes that is being made. Once I clicked on what we call, let's launch the browser. For instance, let's say we want to fill details about this particular jacket again. So we want to add it to cart. We've played around this. All right. So let's go back to our home. Let's play around this. Let's add this hotcake I created. Play around this as well. Let's go back to our home. So let's just say you want to buy a team. There's no I in team. I love this team setup. It will be a nice, spot for cybersecurity hangout. All right. So you add that to your cart as well to make it 4. All right. So all these traffics that we are seeing, definitely we should have it on our Bob suits for each of the actions that we've been able to perform now. All right. So let's see. If truly we are connected, but if we are not connected, we won't be able to see any of all those things that we've done. Okay, so does that mean that we couldn't log in with this? Let me see. I'm saying it's still there. It's 6. Oh, okay. Sorry, just go back straight to this. So it's showing me what I've done earlier. All right, so let's just bring it down and go to direct. Okay, so what we want to do now is we'll be able to launch the browser. Want to check our proxy, so let's go back to our here. So we are told to click and to rearrange this, of which is maybe to arrange this. I'm coming, sorry. Okay, these are Bob suits. All right, so from the lab, let's go to the lab, the documentation that we are reading through. From the documentation, hope you can still see my screen. So from the documentation now, so we are told browse the target site. Browse the target site. Please, can you mute yourself, please? Study the HTTP history, go to proxy, then from your proxy, who is that, please?
Hi, Francis. Please mute your mic. Thank you.
I muted him already. All right, thank you. So what we have to do now is we have to go to proxy, then search, look for our HTTP history. All right, so we are on proxy. We're already having it in sorting order list. Let's go to proxy, okay. HTTP history. What else are we looking at? All right, so what we have to check now is, okay, so we should click on this number until we have a good order, right? Until the requests are sorted in descending order, all right, not even ascending order. This way, you can see the most recent request at the top. Okay, let's go to our Bob suite again. We have it in ascending order. So click on this hash. We already have it in descending order as we requested, right? Okay, so let's go back to the proxy again and say, hey, proxy. Okay, this way you can see the most recent request at the top, right? So let's move ahead. So notice the HTTP history shown details about each request that the browser has made, including requests to third-party websites that you are not interested in, such as YouTube and Google Analytics. So let's confirm that. I don't want us to just, we're in HTTP history already. So let me try and then expand the URL descriptions. So we should scroll down. You're going to see all those things, different products that we've clicked on, isn't it? Different products. We have a product ID of 4, product ID of 1, 1, 4. So YouTube, you could see YouTube, Google AP, internal, all those kind of things, including the ones that you are not interested. You're going to see all those traffic that were being intercepted, but it's going to start from the recent, which was the one we did in around what time is that? Oops, let's see. So which was the one that we did of recent? Let's check. And that should be around 7:30, not long. All right. So let's go back to our documentation. So from our documentation, we're told to do what again? Set the target scope, which is what we want to do now. Go to targets, then sitemap, right? First thing for us to do is to go to target. We're creating the sitemap. This is the target, this is the set map. All right, so what's next? In the left-hand panel, you can see a list of hosts, right, that your browser has interacted with. Right-click on the node for the target site. Right-click on the node for the target site and click Add to Scope. When prompted in a pop-up window, click Yes to exclude out of scope traffic. All right, so let's do that. The configuration we are doing now is, this is our particular, okay, this is the target website, isn't it? Websecurityacademy.net, right? This is the target website, right? So right-click on it, then click Add to Scope. Then you are told to click on what? Yes. We avoid accumulating project data for out of scope items. Click yes. So we've done that as we're told to work on from our documentation. So the next thing for us to do now is to filter. So what we want to do now is we want to filter HTTP history. And for us to be able to achieve our HTTP history filtering, click on the display filter above the HTTP history and show only in scope items. Select show only in scope items. All right, go back to your Bob again. Okay, show, you've clicked on filter. That's why this, let me cancel again so you can see. Click on your filter, then show only in scope items, isn't it? Was that not what we asked to select? Let's check our documentation again. Display, select show only in scope items, all right? After that, scroll back through your HTTP history. Notice that it now only shows entries from the target website. All other entries have been hidden. So this greatly simplify the history to only include items you are interested in. If you continue to browse the target sites, notice that out-of-scope traffic is no longer logged in the sitemap or proxy history. All right, so that's what we want to check now. So let's go back to our Bob. We are currently on our Bob suit. Then we've already set show only items, only in scope items. Then let's apply it. All right, so discover that the other ones disappeared. So the only one we are left with is the one that we are actually looking for. All right, so that's it. So if you are browsing other sites, you won't be seeing other scopes that does not belong to the that are different from the current scope that we are currently in. All right. Okay, Teresa, don't worry. We are going to sort that out. We're going to look at it together tonight. We have to find a way around that. So, all right, so you can kindly check your chat and start filling your attendance as well. So that we won't delay ourselves. So let's go through the documentations again. Once we are done with that, next thing we are told to do is, all right, so if you check your proxy and history, let's go back to our proxy, then the history, from the history. So all we have is just target scope of just only traffic from our target scope, all right? So let's go back to the documentation again and see the next thing for us to do. All right, so congratulations. You successfully set the target scope and used it to simplify your HTTP history. In next session, you build on this network to complete the lab, all right? So we're able to sort out all this. So let's click on continue. All right, so for this particular lab, what we want to do is we want to reissue requests with Bob repeater. All right, so now in this tutorial, you will use Bob repeater to send an interesting request over and over again. This lets you study the target website response to different inputs without having to intercept the request each time. This makes it much simpler to probe for vulnerabilities or confirm one that were identified by bot scanner. For example, all right, if you don't complete our previous tutorial on setting the target scope, you need to do so before continuing, all right? So basically what a repeater does is, a repeater is just, it allows you to send different input. It allows you to know how a particular website is going to respond to different inputs. So that's just the whole essence of a repeater. You can edit, inject, put different input values, then send it. It gives you a response. You check the response. Oh, is it positive? Is it successful? Is it not successful? So that's the work of a repeater. All right. So, and that's what we'll be testing now. So we now said sending a request to Bob repeater. The most common way of using Bob repeater is to send it a request from another Bob tool. In this example, you will send a request from HTTP history in Bob proxy. All right. So let's continue. Identify an interesting request in your tutorial. You want to check which one is the get/product request with product ID, query parameters. All right. So from all the traffics you've selected so far, all right, so we have to look through what we have. Oh, very good of us. We already have one, the get method. Now, the get method is more or less like, the get method is the one that comes, each time you want to fetch a particular product, you add it to cart. Understand? So the post is more or less like, the get method is one that gives us the product ID. Why the post is the aspect of you clicking for the cart, like adding that into your cart, right? So the product ID is for the get method, the post is for the cart. But when you check your get method, let me highlight the get method now, and let's see what we have. What is really happening when you click on get method? These are the two methods that you always see under this method, the get and the request. All right. So let's see what is happening in the get method. All right, so for our get method, when we look at this header, there's what we call header. Like this is more or less like your the header itself, the head. Normal, if you write programming, you should know basically most of all these things. Because we have a get method, we have a post method. It's directing us to where the product is of product ID 1, isn't it? All right, so let's go to the documentation and let's see what they ask us to do again. So we've been able to select a particular traffic with get method and product ID. We have 3. Success status is 200 here. All right. So let's move in, and we're able to have something like this. These are requests and these are response of which we have on our Bob suite currently. And then these are get method, right? Okay, so let's use Bob repeater to look at this behavior more closely. All right. So what we want to perform with the repeater is that right click on any of the get methods, right? Then send the request, okay, of any of the get / product ID request. This is just like a syntax that your ID can be anything, can be 1, can be 2, can be 3, can be 4. But this is just the way it follows, right? Then select send to repeater. That's what we want to do. We send it to repeater. Then go to repeater tab to see that your request is waiting for you in its own number on the repeater. That definitely needs to be on number 1. Then we have this. All right, let's go to our repeater. This is our Bob suite rather, sorry. We've selected, let me bring all this down so you can know. We've selected a get method with an ID of 1. Then let's right click on it. Let's send to our repeater. So come here, this is your repeater. It's on what? Number 1, as we were told, right? So you have the same information you have earlier from this proxy here. The same information you have here that you sent here to the repeater is still the same thing you are having here, right? So let's go to our documentation and see what is happening there in our documentation again. So these are documentation and repeater. We have this as well. All right, so let me generate this. For our repeater, you can send the same request so that you can have a response. So what's our response like? Tell me this. What is that? Let me click on another one because if it's not successful, there's nothing we can do with this. I was actually expecting this. It's a system failed to close correctly. There's the issue. All right, so this our target now. Okay, let me just do all those things we were able to do earlier. Let's click on add scope, then call it a yes. All right. So what else we want to set our filter, show layer of scope, then apply. All right, so we have only this now, isn't it? All right, so this is the lab. At least these ones are recent ones. So let's pick a product with an ID of 8, as we're told to do. Then scroll down. Okay, so we are here now. All right, let's click on it, then send to our repeater. So from our repeater, we are already in our repeater. Let's send the request. All right. So this is what I want us to achieve, because each time you send a request, it must bring in something. All right. This is because the ID is 8. So let's change our ID to 100 and send the same request, not found. That is on the list of our elements. We don't have on the list that we have on our website, we don't have an item with an ID of, 100, all right? So that's why, that means we don't have up to 100 items here, all right? So that's why we couldn't get a response to that. Okay, but what we can do is let's go back to our documentation and then view one or two things there. Info lead, we've sorted this out. And let's just go up. Let's continue as well. So reissue request with Bob Suit repeater. We've done all this. We've done this, right? We've tried changing the IDs. Okay. Okay, this is where we are. So we resend the request. We change it to 100, right? And we got not found. Exactly, right? So they say view the request history. We want to go back and view the request history. Use the arrow to step back and forth. You can always play along this, along with their matching responses, and drop down menu next to each of the arrow also lets you jump to a specific request history. So that's just the toggling and everything that you have here. So that's just, they said this is useful for returning, all right, but receive not found, which was what we tried. Okay, we said try sending unexpected inputs. That is, the server seemingly expects to receive an integer value, definitely, because when you look at the syntax we were given earlier, the product ID is in form of product, comma, product question mark, product ID. So it is expected that it should take ordinary integers. I don't know, I'm speaking grammar like that with the word integer for some of us that are not programmers. So it is expected of it to take only numbers. So let's change this number. Let's feed it with things like tests. And let's send it. Let's see if it's going to accept it. Wow, it accepted tests. These are part of flaws that you discover in programming. Normally, if input sanitation was done, input filtering was done, definitely it would have been designed in such a way that the product ID cannot be a string. The product ID can only be an integer, which is 1, 2, 3, instead of we using tests. So these are part of flaws from the developer's end. All right, so we can then go ahead. Let's check our documentation again. All right, so we input tests and we're able to have a response of this, right? So they said, observe that sending a non-integer product ID has caused an exception. All right, which are all these things we have on our screen. The server has sent a verbose error response containing a stack trace. All right, so notice that the response tells you that the website is using Apache Struct framework. It's even reviewed the version of the Apache Struct. All right, so in which scenario, this kind of information could be used to an attacker, especially if the name version is known to contain additional vulnerability. So if you're able to get some certain versions and the name of a particular framework that are being used by a particular organization, let's say you are targeting an organization like this, and you have all these kind of informations that you have, you can do your your in-depth research and know the kind of vulnerability that such frameworks are susceptible to. So if you're able to stock Adibina, let me say this, what we discover is just for a particular server 2012 now, which is going into extinction by October 10th, I guess, yes, this year. So if you're able to discover all these kind of things for a particular server, just go and search what are the common vulnerabilities that such particular server is susceptible to. Then you now start exploiting them. All right. So they now say in this scenario, the kind of information could be useful by an attacker, especially if the name version is known to contain additional vulnerabilities. So go back to the lab in Bob browser and click submit solution. Enter Apache Struct version number that you discover in the response. All right. So we're going to check this. Then we use this to solve our lab. So let's go back to our documentation. So where we are. That should be. Okay, let's go to our Bob suite first. Let's try and look for our Apache server. All right, so these are Apache structs that we're looking for. And this is what? I say this is version 2.3.31. Am I right? This is 2. Let me just copy. All right. Let me copy that. So we are told to paste it right. Let's go to our environment again, where he's asking us to submit a solution because he's already saying it as if we've completed our task. Okay, let me bring this down a bit. So he's asking us to submit our solution. Let's paste this. So definitely. Let me say 2.3.31. This guy will set this as solution. All right, so we've solved this particular lab, and this comes to the end of our task for today. All right, so to solve the problem we are facing, it is not a must for you to be able to go back to that particular home, but with the information you have, you can still work, and that's where I am currently. All right, so I was able to do whatever I want to do. Once you click on each of those items, it's going to show your ID. Are you getting it? So you can still work without seeing that home, dashboard directory. You can still go ahead without having those issues. So you should be able to solve your lab as well. All right. So is there any question we have? I know we should have plenty of questions, so you can ask me. All right. So part of challenges we encounter during the class is things that are normal, that you should encounter on a normal day. Then you finding a way around it is the best option. All right, so we're able to solve that lab. We have our congratulations. Then next class, we'll be moving on to the other labs. All right, thank you. And if you can walk ahead of the class, please kindly do so. It will make our job much more faster. All right, so that's all. All right, questions? Questions? Is there any magic?
Yes, sir. I still have that issue. I still have the issue of not being able to log in.
You couldn't log in, or you don't have all those, home page and the likes.
It
Let's
just
see.
shows,
Can you
doesn't
share
show
your
my
screen
tab.
again?
Okay.
Share your screen. Because I personally am not having that previous, landing page again. But at least you could click around and intercept without that. It's not really stopping you from working. But share your screen. Let's see what you are. All right. Please don't forget to fill your attendance. All right. Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay.
So this is what you are seeing, right?
Yes.
So can you turn on your Bob suits? Let's see what you have on your Bob suits. Let's see what you have on your Bob suits.
I see.
Right. So on your intercept. So how do you, okay, when you collected the traffic, no, go to HTTP history. Let's see. Wait, go to HTTP history. Let's see what you have there. All right, scroll up. Were you able to sort it out? Have you been able to do anything around that?
No, I have not been because
Scroll up. Just click on this, your hash, and sort it out. Click on this particular hash here, then to sort it out. There's an hash where the number is.
This one?
Yeah, click on it to sort it out. You should be able to sort out so that we can have the current one. Okay,
I've done that.
That's
Can you
what I want to
see?
get. That's it's at 12:07, right? Hey, click again so that we can have it in descending order, please. The hash itself, yeah. Just click the number.
Yeah.
All right. So the recent one, that's the one that happened at 12:07, right? So, okay. So go back to that your browser. Let's do some things. Go back to that your browser.
Yeah.
Launch it, yes. Just randomly click on this item at the view details and like, let's see what happened.
Stream failed to close correctly.
I think that's logged you out already. But go back, let's see what happened. Because normally this is meant to load. Can you go back to your Bob?
It's my Bob, okay.
Yeah, go to your Bob itself. If it's not working, that means you have to sign out and log in again. That was what I did.
I'm here.
Okay, you have a
what do I do?
ID. Yeah, click on that first item.
This one.
First item that has gets, that has products equals 1.
Yeah, yeah.
Click on it.
Yeah, I've clicked on that.
So we show you the request. All right. Don't worry, send it to go back to that place and send it to repeater. Let's see what you have. The means of troubleshooting, just right click. Just right click, send to repeater. Then go to your repeater, let's see what you have there. So can you try sending? Let's see, maybe you have a response.
Issue the request.
Issue the request. You understand? So where the issue is you have to log out from that browser, log in again. You know, I have faced this same issue myself. So log out from that.
This Chromium browser.
Yeah, logged out. Totally.
How do I
in again? Just close it. Close your Bob. Restart everything afresh. That was what I did.
Okay. So close my Bob.
Start. Let's see. Just start afresh. Just start afresh and let's see what you have.
So yes, this will close all Bob windows. Should I say yes?
Yeah, close everything. Close everything. All. And don't save your
Then
history.
I close the browser.
Yeah. Yeah, launch them again. Launch the
okay, the browser has closed as well.
Yes, launch
so let me go to.
Yep.
Okay, so next, right?
Yeah.
Next. That Bob. So is it normal that it happens like this and you have to always restart, or is there like a technical issue?
It's the issue we're facing is because the way we are running it. Normally, if I'm to set it up on my lab, I don't need to be turning off and on. You understand? I have my Foxy proxy working on my Kali. Each time I load anything on the browser, it intercepts automatically. You understand? Because I've set it to work that way. So I won't have this kind of issues of going through them again and again. You understand? I think we should stop recording since we are solving issues.
So here we are, and